Here we go. So what we're going to be going through today is really what the whole point of social media is. Instead of trying to convince people, hey, you need to be doing social media, I'm going to shoot you straight and explain what social media is and is not. And at the end of this, you get to decide if it makes sense for you to actually do it. And if you are going to do it, how do you go about doing it? So instead of trying to shove one answer down your throat, we're actually going to pull back a little bit more and explain it all together. I want to start off, it's one of my favorite quotes. It's, people do judge a book by its cover. The entire quote is actually, we may have the best product, the highest quality, and the most useful software, but if we present them in a slipshod manner, they're going to be perceived as slipshod. But if we present them in a creative, professional manner, we're going to impute the desired qualities. Does anybody know who said this? A guy named Steve Jobs. And this was Apple's entire mantra. And if you have anything Apple related, not only does it work really well, it looks beautiful. And that's pretty much what you guys all do as well. Is it's not just a functional kitchen or addition or basement, but it also is something that is a sense of pride for the homeowners that you guys work with. So it's not just a functional kitchen, it's one that's beautiful that they want to show off and they really want to highlight in the best manner. So when we're thinking about social media, it's not just about the act of doing it. It's also about making sure that we're having our products on display in a way that people look at that and go, wow, I want that in my home. That is really what the entire goal is. Now, dang, I get it now. Does anybody know who said this one? This is going to be you guys in about 42 minutes. So, when we're going through social media, I've been in the exact same shoes that you guys have all been in. 7 years ago when I started CGN, I started doing YouTube, and it was just me doing it all. It was to the point where I had essentially a microphone on my lapel. I would come into the office, pop it on, and anytime I needed to record something, I would just do it. And this was probably video number 4. This was back, we weren't even called CGN, it was called Full Sail Marketing. And the topic was, is marketing too expensive? And I only got one comment on the post, and I got roasted by Lothar68. So I have been in your shoes. I know what it's like when you're putting something out there and you're immediately wanting instant gratification, and then you get a Lothar68 popping up and just reminding you that nobody's watching this stuff. So I've been there, I get it. Roasting is actually my favorite type of comedy, so I actually really enjoyed this. I thought it was very well done. But I also look at something like this almost as a rite of passage, where if you're not putting out stuff where you're at least getting a little bit of this pushback, then it's all learning, we're not doing it the right way. So it's okay, it happens. At the end of the day, I will probably never meet this person, and I'm cool with that. So just recognize we've all been there, we all do it. When it comes to social, the first problem that I see a lot of is we are approaching social the wrong way. We're thinking about social as we're going to put up a photo of one of our projects, and then we're going to have a caption that essentially just says, hey, I just finished this bathroom, and the clients absolutely love it. If you want this, call me. Now, does anybody know why this is not the best approach for social media as far as a photo and caption goes?
Because you're trying to sell.
You're trying to sell. This is effectively what we are doing when we're just putting out something and saying, hey, I just did this, buy my stuff right now. And this is called direct response, which is what infomercials are. Hey, if you have something that you need to clean up, go ahead, pop the ShamWow down, we'll clean it up. German scientists created this thing, Olympic divers use this thing. Call now because we only got 10 minutes left, and we can't be doing this all day, and if you do it right now, we'll give you 2. So the very first problem that we have when it comes to social media is the actual idea of what social media is and is not. And the first thing is we all treat it as this thing called direct response, and that is the wrong way to be approaching social media as a whole. So we're instantly going into this with the wrong expectations because not very many of your clients will wake up and just say, I got to drop $200,000 on something today. Oh man, I saw this kitchen post and somebody said, call me, I'm in. So we want to approach it with the right frame of mind that it is not meant to be, here it is, buy my stuff this very second. The next issue that I see a lot, and this is problem number 2, is once we actually figure out what social media is used for, we're putting up posts that are pretty close to being done. How many of your clients would actually pay to have you do a project to this level and then be done? None. I come from the pond world. My dad was a pond and water feature contractor, which is actually how I started all this marketing stuff. But the way that ponds work, koi pond, is when you are finished with a pond, you turn it on and the water is brown. And it takes about 3 days for the water to filter all the way through and let all the dirt get out of it before it becomes crystal clear. Well, the issue was that the crew would take a photo right as soon as it was done, and they would send it over to me and be like, hey, you do what you got to do with this, but it was brown water. So I would have to put all these posts that would be brown water and say, hey, imagine what this could look like in about 3 days when it was crystal clear. So what we were actually putting out was the wrong thing, which was the thing that we weren't actually selling. We're not selling ponds with brown water. We were selling them with crystal clear water. This is what your consumer is buying. There's a very big difference in the photos themselves between a this and a this, and the perception is also very different as far as what type of company is going to put up a this versus a this. So we want to make sure that we are putting out the best stuff that truly represents not only what we're able to do, but what our clients also are wanting to spend a bunch of money on. So it's the second problem, is putting out the wrong actual creative and the wrong content. And the third problem, and we're going to go through how to fix all these, is we all get very excited by social media. And we go through this wave where it's January, this is the year that we are going to be doing social media. And then February comes, we're doing well. March comes, we're doing well. And then April, it starts to really pick up. Depending on where we live in the country, it really picks up at this time, certain times. And then we get very busy. And then we get to this lull where eventually we stop posting so much and it's so inconsistent that it takes another slowdown for us to go, okay, let's get back on the social media train as well. So we're also super inconsistent when it comes to actually using social media. And a lot of that is we just are trying to do it all ourselves. Like I don't run our company's social media. I'm a lot like you guys where when I feel compelled to post, I will post. But we have somebody else on our team that does all this stuff because that is their entire role. So that's the third biggest problem that I see with social media, but it all goes in this order. First, we're approaching it wrong with the wrong mindset and we get frustrated by it. 2, because we're frustrated by it, we're saying, screw it, just put something out there because we know we got to post. So just get something that's up so we can check that box. And then when that doesn't get a bunch of likes and shares and engagement, we then just say, screw it. I got bigger fish to fry, it's July, it's hot, I'm tired, I'm moving on until we go back through another cycle where we have to do it. So those are the big 3 problems that we're going to be going through today. So when you walk out of here, I want you to recognize that when it comes to social media, great social media is actually better than good social media. Makes sense. And good social media is better than bad social media. But bad social media is actually worse than no social media. And this is something that when I was coming into this presentation, I was like, well, how do I get everybody excited by social media? But the truth is, if we're not going to do it well, don't do it. There's a lot of people that I'm seeing, because we do a lot of video, that are getting into the video space, which is awesome. But if the mindset is, well, I'm doing video and all my competitors are not doing video, so by default, I'm better, right? The issue is that your projects and what you guys do from a price point perspective is the same as some people's houses, is the same as really nice cars. So that's actually what is going through somebody's mind. So if we're putting up a remodel that's going to cost $250,000, we got to recognize what are all the other things in this world that our clients can buy for $250,000, and that's how they're starting to go through. Do I put this into a new basement, or do I put it into 3 really new cars, or college for 2 of my kids? So we need to recognize that it's not just the person up the street that's not doing social media that we're competing against. It's all these other things that we're actually competing against. So at the end of this talk, if you realize this is too much, I don't want to do this stuff, that's okay. Right now is not the time to do it, and that's cool. But don't put yourself at a disadvantage by putting out bad social media, because it's almost like, not having reviews online versus having a 2-star average online. Not having reviews, it's like, maybe they just haven't gotten around to setting up a Google business profile. But if it's 2 stars, there's something behind the scenes that's going wrong, and we got to address that. So let's talk about how to first off approach social media. A lot of what happens when it comes to socials is we don't know what we're doing, and we are just simply putting stuff out there and just hoping like hell that somebody goes, okay, I see what they're doing, let me buy their stuff. What we want to be doing with social media is, first off, your website is the foundation for everything when it comes to marketing. Like everything. When it comes to where do we send people from a business card, it should be your website. Social media, your website. SEO, your website. If you guys are hiring, people that you are actually recruiting are looking at your website. So that is the foundation of everything. So the goal here should really be, when it comes to social, get everybody back to the website. Because if the website is done correctly, it should be the resume for your business. And when you think about what an actual resume is, a resume is the best aspects of your professional career, experience-wise, skill set-wise, how you're doing all of that stuff. And the point of a resume is to hand it to a hiring manager, and the hiring manager go, well, I see what they're all about. I'm in. Like, I want to reach out and talk to this person to have an interview. And that's essentially what your website's meant to be, is a consumer or prospect goes on there, sees what you're all about, learns what it would look like to hire you, and then decide on their own, do they want to reach out and have that first engagement? So we want to make sure that we are sending people from social over to the website. But we don't want to just say, hey, go check out our website, which is the whole spray and pray option. The easiest way, and the way that makes the most sense, is to create an actual page on your website for your projects. So if you come back down to the booth, I can show you what this actually looks like live. But essentially, each one of your projects, especially if it's a good project that you want to do more of, you want a page on the website that shows the before photos, that shows the afters, that talks more about the project, where you did it, how much it cost, what the process of working together looked like, the video of you walking through it. So each one of these projects that you have, like, think about your best lead. Is everybody's best, highest quality lead here going to be referrals? Okay. This is the closest way that we're going to be able to generate a referral quality lead online. Because when it comes to what a referral really is good for is, first off, they're in the space. They go to their friend's house and they're like, this is incredible. Like, they get to feel the material, they get to actually be in the space, so they see what it truly looks like to have that project in the house. The second thing that the referral really likes is they have a trusted source of somebody saying, I hired this company, they were amazing, you should go call them. So there's a trust factor. And the third thing is ballpark pricing, right? Nobody's going to hire somebody if they think that a bathroom is going to cost 10 grand, but in reality, their friend's like, no, it's 100 grand. So between those three things of being in the space, knowing somebody who's actually hired that company, and having just a general idea of ballpark pricing is what makes referral quality leads so good. And we want to be able to replicate that online, because we're all moving more and more into an online world. All right? Is our referral still going to be better than everything I'm talking about today? Yes, because it's still going to be somebody that you actually talk to. But this is if that's a 10, this is a 9. And this is way more scalable, because your best referrals or best referrers, if they move out and they go to 2 states over, they're gone. So we want to have a way to replicate them. Easiest way to do that is to actually have a page on your website that is focused on an individual project. And you do that for all your projects. Your whole goal of social is just to get them back to that individual page. That's it. Because what we're doing here is we're first focusing on paid ads. Has anybody here done paid ads before on social media? Has anybody had success in their mind with paid ads on social media? A little bit. Has anybody done the thing where you boost a post for 20 bucks and you get a bunch of likes, but not a single person has called you, so you said, I'm done with Facebook forever? What we want to do on social is we really just want to take our project and send them over to that exact page. And the beauty of what we get to do with social media is you get to pay a little bit of money. It used to be that you would have to spend a ton of money on a TV commercial or a billboard or things like that. This is pennies on the dollar compared to what that stuff is. And all you're really doing is putting up an ad that really just says, here's a project that we just did. If you want to see more about the project, go to the page and explore more of what this looked like. That's all we're trying to do. It's super simple, but it's exposure onto the projects that you guys do. Because I see a lot of the people that go, look, my work speaks for itself. I don't need to advertise. My work just does all the talking for me. This is your way of letting your work speak for itself. So paid ads is going to be your best friend when it comes to social media. Organic stuff, which we're going to go through afterwards, which is the free stuff, is still good and we still want to do it, but paid is going to be the best thing because all we're trying to do is get people right back to that page on the website to continue their journey. Kind of like you go to Amazon, you put some shoes in the cart, you end up not checking out, and you go back to Facebook, and 2 days later, those shoes are right there, and they say, hey, are you sure that you don't want to check out? And it takes you right back out to the page to buy those shoes. That's what we want to be focusing on first. Now, what most people are going to do here is they're going to go, okay, and this is what everybody does, so it's not just this room. Okay, great. Now I know what to do. I'm going to spend $200, and I'm going to show this to everybody all over my town. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, so this is what we're going off of. But the problem here is this is such a wide range that we're essentially spreading our budgets too thin. So instead of going big, now if we have an unlimited budget and money is no object, this is perfect. Do this all day long. But if we don't have that, we want to focus more on the pockets and the neighborhoods that we, first off, do work in. Because typically, does everybody here have a neighborhood in their town that they were just like, if I could just remodel everyone's home in that thing, I'm good for 10 years? Yeah. Pick those, because first off, if you've done a project in that space, what you get to do is that, what I showed you before with the ad, let's say you got to do this one in that one favorite neighborhood. Well, now you get to say, hey, we did this project in that neighborhood. And it creates such a good local effect there. It's the same thing as like a yard sign. Has anybody seen like the DeFabian guys rolling around here? So they are in my market. They did a project like one neighborhood over. I see their signs all the time. This is essentially the same thing, but now you're getting to do it. Instead of a yard sign, you now get to do it with a video that guides them to an interactive page on the website that talks about that exact project that happened in their neighbor's space. It's creating the neighborhood effect where if it's good enough for my neighbor who I like and trust, it's good enough for me. So when it comes to the social side, for the paid side, that should be the big focus up front of social media is it's really a branding play. Get the project out there on social, put some money behind it in the pockets in the neighborhoods that you want to actually be in, and get them over to that individual page. And let's say, God forbid, they go to the page and they don't sign up right then and there. You're at least letting your work be put on display so people are now able to actually see what it looks like. So when they're ready to move forward, because you all have very long sales cycles, whether we know it or not. We need to make sure that we're just consistently showing up over and over and over with these projects in their neighborhoods. That is step one, is just focus on the branding side of it. Now, for the free stuff, if that's all the paid stuff and I'm saying, hey, focus on paid ads, why do we need free stuff? Well, when you run an ad, people are going to do one of really three things. Either one, they're going to see the ad and they're going to scroll right by because it didn't stand out to them in an appealing way. Two, they're going to see the ad and they're going to actually click to that page that we're telling them to go check it out. Or three, does anybody know what the third option is that they're going to click on? They're going to click on your actual profile just to see, are you legit or not? Because a lot of people are not ready to drop $250,000 from one ad they saw one time. So they want to go to your actual page and see, what are you up to? Is this person legitimate, or did they just hire a really good ads person that crushed it with one project? So when they go to your actual organic, just like the rest of the stuff, they're going to want to see that you're actually active and you're doing things around the community, so that way it's building up that trust factor. We don't have to crush it on the free side. We just have to have enough, really 1 or 2 posts a week at minimum, just to show people we're active. That's really all it takes. Your paid is way better. Your free stuff, we just need to make sure that we're putting out the right content, just consistently enough that we're not killing ourselves, but people just see that we're active. And I remember we were doing social for one of our clients, and the video within like the first few hours got like 1,000 views, and I was so excited. I was like, this is a killer video. And then the guy who runs all of our paid ads for clients was like, yeah, but like we got that like in 10 minutes for like $5 with this ad. So it's really, when it comes to the paid side, you are paying to play, but that is the whole premise of these platforms. Just put the money up, get exposure onto your projects, and really let the whole idea of like my work speaks for itself, while also telling the backstory of the project. That is going to be so beneficial for you guys. It is crazy. It's free billboards. It's free yard signs all over in the perfect neighborhoods. So let's get organic, basic, but let's just make sure that we're really focusing on doing the paid ad side of things. So everybody good with that first premise as far as how do we approach social media, branding versus direct response, which is, hey, look at our stuff and just learn more about what we do versus buy our stuff this very second. Everybody good on that? Cool. Second thing, let's talk about what good content is. This is from West Elm's Instagram page. The reason I'm showing this is your clients are probably focused on interior design to a certain extent. It could be West Elm, could be Restoration Hardware, it could be IKEA, but essentially they are already, like my wife, my whole house before we had a kid, it looked like a West Elm showroom. And it was because that's all she follows online. So when we hired an interior designer to do stuff, my wife had like Pinterest board on Pinterest board of just West Elm stuff. They have it figured out from an aesthetic standpoint. So when it comes to the actual photos and what we're doing, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. Just follow the brands that are associated with your clientele and just see what they're doing. Because what West Elm could do, because they're a furniture company, is they could just take a photo of a shelf or a vanity or a couch in a factory. But that's not what they're selling. So when you look at this, they're selling, this is what your home could look like. You guys are in the exact same boat as them. So when I see things where people are not staging their projects or the lighting is bad or any of that stuff, we're missing out on that. Just follow what the big brands do, and it's so much easier just to replicate that side of things. I know for me, when I look at like posts on social media, like from other marketing agencies, I just look at what they're doing, and if I like it, I'm like, great, we're going to apply that to what we do, and then that way I don't have to create all these new ideas and reinvent the wheel. Just take what the big dogs are doing, apply it to your world. If you hire a photographer, get them to do shots that look just like this, because if it's working for them and they're able to sell a $10,000 couch from it, it's going to work for you guys as well. Make it easier on yourselves. Don't reinvent the wheel. Just look at what the big dogs are doing. Interior designers in your area that do a really good job, furniture companies that do a really good job, and architects. When you go on their social media, you'll know in your gut, is this good or not? And if it's good, follow them, just replicate it. It's super easy. The first mistake I see when it comes to just doing the organic stuff is people way over-engineer it. A lot of people will hire a marketing company and they will go onto a software called Canva and just create all of these posts that realistically do not appeal to your clientele at all. It's very salesy. So if you have somebody that's adding in all these other graphics and all this extra stuff, Restoration Hardware is not doing it. West Elm's not doing it. That really nice interior designer that you would love to refer work over to you in your area, they're not doing it. So if you see this stuff being done, just run away from it. It's actually more work to do this than it is just to post a photo of your project. And the photo of your project is what they were buying. They're not buying, Father's Day definitions. Because a lot of times, we don't know what to say, so we just post up random stuff. But essentially, it's if you're putting a lot of graphics on it, this is like the same thing as like the billboards that have so much stuff going on that it looks like you're going to like downtown Tokyo and there's so much stimuli hitting you, it's going to repel people. So we want to stay away from this at all costs. The next thing that we want to stay away from is there's no cohesion here. It is just all over the place. This is actually better than the previous one, because even though there's no real rhyme or reason to this one, it's at least showing off some of the projects, but we don't really know what is happening here. And at the end of the day, your business account is still a business. If you want to do stuff about like ticket giveaways or Father's Day stuff, do it on your personal. And there's a whole talk we can go through on personal branding versus business branding. But for the sake of this, we don't want this. Just show your work. This is what you want to show off. This is the stuff that you've been doing since you started your company. This is the stuff that people are actually spending a bunch of money on, and it's your projects. And then this is where you get to do the reels or the actual like the carousels when you're swiping through it that shows the before, the during, the after, and then how it actually turned out. Because all of that is story. People remember story. And that is your goal, is to create a story around your company that people can truly understand. Because when they do that, it's gold. It's like my favorite way to explain this is like, has everybody here seen Saving Private Ryan? Does everybody know like the beginning, like the first 20 minutes when they're storming the beach of Normandy? Like you could probably walk through it step by step of like, this is what happened first and second, and this is how it all turned out. That's a 20-minute thing. But most people probably don't know that World War II ended in 1945 because that's a fact. The story part that's way harder to actually remember is way easier to recite because we remember that versus just a simple fact. So when we're actually putting up stuff on social media, the more of the story from the client's perspective we can put up there, that is going to beat the facts around we did this and this and this from like an actual like finishes perspective and like this is how long it took. Those are all beneficial things to have, but the thing that's going to draw somebody in is going to be the story associated with all of this. Think about it today. The very first thing that we saw from the conference was the story about Remo. And as it's going through that story, did we all know that they were really talking about RA? Yeah, but they did it in a story because they could have just said, here are the facts of RA. You come in, we're going to make sure that you're not just working in the business, you're working on the business, you're doing these things right, but that would have been boring. So we want the story to come out. So when it comes from a social, organic perspective, easiest thing to do, and yes, this is us doing it, so it's going to be a little bit higher end, but just posting photos of your work is going to beat everything else 9 times out of 10. We good on that. Straightforward, just make it easier on yourself because that's actually what your clients want. I know this is going to come up, videos versus photos, 2 very different purposes. Video, more in like reel form, is really based around fun entertainment pieces. You want both video and photos, but if we had to pick one thing, go for photos because it's easier. You should already be getting nice photos of your work. If you're doing a really killer project, don't, shoot yourself in the foot by not getting professionally shot photos. Just get those done because now you have enough content for social media as well. But the reason that video is really big right now is Instagram and all them, they're trying to keep people on the platforms. Best way to keep people on the platform is to figure out what content do people want to see, and the more that they share it over to their friends, the more that Instagram goes, wow, that's a really good post. Let's show this to more people. And video typically does that way better than photos. So the videos are going to help bring more people into your world. The photos are going to be when they're already following you. They're going to scroll through and see it. So you want both, but I didn't even want to add this slide, but I knew this is probably going to come up of should we be doing videos? Go for photos first because that's going to be the easiest thing to do. You should already have them for all your projects, and all you got to do is upload it and do a little caption about what you did, and you're done. Cool. Last thing. So now we know we have social media as a brand, and it's all branding, and we want to use paid ads to get people back to our site using our actual projects. We know that we need to have stuff that actually appeals to our clientele. We're just going to replicate what the big dogs do, and now it comes down to how do we actually make sure that we're consistently doing this thing? So when it comes down to it, who should be doing the social media for our company? If you think to yourself, do you love social media? And your answer is no, just get somebody else to do it. Even people that say, I like social media, if you don't love it, it should not be on your plate. I don't love social media. It's necessary, I like it, but because I just like it and I don't love it, I don't do it for my company. Somebody who loves it does it for my company. So if you're in the no, get somebody else to do it. If you're the yes, that you love it, the next question is, do you actually have the time to do it? Because you could love it, but if you're not taking the time to actually do it, there's no point of even like attempting it, because you're going to get back to that spot of it's going to fall off as well. So if you love it and you don't have the time to do it, pass it over. But if you love it and you have the time to do it, then you can do it yourself. Eventually, you're not going to be doing it yourself though. Like, it's going to get to the point where you can be thumbs up, thumbs downing stuff of what somebody else on the team or outsource is doing for you. But unless you're obsessed with social media, just don't bother doing it yourself. I'll talk through what to do instead. Are we good on that though? Like, I don't want you guys to come out and be like, I'm going to do social media. This is going to be my jam. Yes, you have to buy into it enough. Like, I remember when I first started doing the marketing stuff for my dad, we would have like a once a week meeting with the whole team, and I would talk about the marketing stuff, and he would ask me a question about it, and I would start to like explain it, and he'd go, stop. Logan, is this going to make us money? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, good, that's all we care about. Next thing. So you need to have some sort of buy-in, because that's soul crushing. But if you don't love it, don't do it. Just have somebody else on your team do it. Make sure that it's facilitated where you get good media in, but it should be pretty much off of your plate. So you really got two options here when it comes to social. The first piece is just hire the whole thing out. Make it really easy, hire all of it out, and here's really how I would approach hiring it out. If you're going to work with a company to have this thing outsourced, first off, make sure they also do paid ads, because it does not make sense financially, and this is coming from somebody whose company does social media, it does not make sense financially to hire everything out where what they're going to be doing is the media and the posting for free, because you're going to spend money on that stuff and it's not really going to get enough reach where people are actually seeing it consistently enough where it's going to produce an ROI. So if you're going to hire it out, hire all of it out, which also includes the paid advertising side of things. If you're not going to go that route where you're like, I don't want to spend money on paid ads yet, that's okay. Just hire out the photos, then have somebody else in your company do the posting and the scheduling. So pick one. It should not be you guys yourselves doing the photos of your projects unless you have like an in-house media person that knows this stuff. So when it comes to social, hire the entire thing out, including all the paid ad stuff, which means that you're going to want to work with a company that does the paid ad side of things as well. Or if we're going to dip our toes into it, that's cool. Get the photos so the photos look beautiful, and then have somebody internally, could be an office admin, could be anybody who says, I love social media and I do have some of the bandwidth for it for the company, to actually do it myself. And that's pretty much it. At the end of it, great is better than good. Good is better than bad. But bad social media is worse than no social media. That's all I got. Social media, baby.